Hey, house guests, welcome to today's BB23 updates and spoilers. What's going on? Our house guests of the day are Nick Silverstein and Robin S. Yasmin. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Woo! I have to say, Jefferson Tucker, I love your like stage manager cues every day. They're so much fun, but in reality, all we do is press the go live button. It's not as exciting as you make it sound, but I love reading that. So before we get started today, I want to welcome you all for being here, or welcome to the show, whatever. I'm very sleep deprived right now. This has been a week. And it hasn't even been a full week yet. Holy crap. But I want to thank all of our super chatters from yesterday before we get started. Woo! So we've got Gio Epe, Florida Nana, Kathleen Quinn, and Jefferson Tucker. Thank you all so much. And I see we already have some super chatters today. So let me just thank you guys real quick before we get going. Donnie Greenwell. Oh, this is a highlight of his day. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. Destiny's Ma, thank you so much. So happy to catch a live thank you for pre-ordering the cookbook. I hope you enjoy the recipes. We just got our like family and friends copies today, so it's so weird seeing like a huge pile of the same book, but it's very, very exciting. And I also want to thank Nick Silverstein. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for all you do. And it has been such a blessing to have you guys as friends all these years. You're so sweet. Don't make me cry before we got to get started here. Oh my goodness. Alex Garza, thank you so much. Jefferson Tucker, my stage manager, thank you so much. Yeah. And Christine, thank you so much. Christine asks, how do you watch the feeds? They've been hitting the button so much this year. It is very frustrating. How often they take away the feeds at times. But the good thing is, for me, I watch a lot on flashback. I don't always watch live, so I'm able to kind of like work around that a bit. But when I do watch live, I'm just like, oh my God, stop it. So I understand the frustration for sure. Camila Gamba, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys are wonderful. I'm going to start the show. You guys are wonderful. If you want to super chat during the show, thank you right now. I'm going to thank you guys at the end, but I don't want to, I get distracted very easily. So if you do super chat and you don't hear me thank you until the end of the show, that is why. But I really, really do appreciate it. So let's get started. Okay, so when we left, we got a lot to talk about today, guys. I have like 7 pages of notes to get through. So, okay. When we left off yesterday, Alyssa and Kyland up on the block still think it was really dumb for Frenchie to put them up, but whatever. So there's still the possibility of targeting Derek X or Travis after the Power of Veto. So they had the Power Veto competition. We talked about that yesterday. The players were Frenchie, Alyssa, Kyland, Tiffany, Derek X, and Travis. And we saw that Derek X, baby Derek, Lil D, he won the Power of Veto. Woo! So this was a crucial win for him because he definitely could have been going this week. He was definitely at risk. So Lil D promised Kyland before the competition that he would use the Power Veto on him if he won. You know, these two are pretty tight. But Lil D's teammates are encouraging him, do whatever Frenchie wants. No questions asked. Blech. I hate this like setup here where you have to do whatever the HOH wants and this whole like group think thing. I hate it. So hopefully it's going to go away once Frenchie's HOH reign is over. So Derek agrees though. He's like, yeah, I want to get in with Frenchie, so I'm going to do what he wants here, but also like he wants to save Kyland. So as long as Frenchie's plans line up with saving Kyland, Lil D is on board with that. So at first, Frenchie's saying, yeah, I'm cool with you using the Power Veto on Kyland. You know, I'll put up Travis and we get rid of him. Great. We get rid of a big guy here. But Travis is Lil D's closest ally and friend. That being said, Lil D's willing to cut Travis loose. I mean, it is early on in the game, so it's not like they've been allies for months already. But still, like, it sucks to lose your closest ally like that. But he really wants to make sure that he gains the trust of everyone. So then Frenchie starts saying, oh, Kyland would be safe if he stayed on the block. Like, nobody would vote him out. And Frenchie's saying he's going to feel like crap if Alyssa's up there with Travis and Alyssa gets voted out and Travis stays. So then he's saying, I want you to use the POV on Alyssa. And Lil D's like, no, I want to use the veto on Kyland. So Frenchie's low key trying to intimidate him as well, talking about how he's working with a big group of people. He's got like 11 people. It's not an A word. It's not an alliance. It is. But he says they're all friends. They're close and they'll protect each other, you know? So he's trying to intimidate Lil D. He's trying to swing around his D and be like, I got all these people behind me, so you better do what I say. But he's also like trying to invite Lil D to join the group if he does what Frenchie wants. It's just like a gross situation. But that's where we left off. That's the context to set everything up. Now let's talk about what happened on Sunday. So the feeds were down for a bit in the morning while the house guests were doing their swimsuit photo shoot in the backyard. And later, Frenchie was in the HOH room with Big D, Xavier, Alyssa, and Christian. And Frenchie's telling them all about his long ass conversation that he had with Derek X the night before. And he's like, yeah, so I told I've been listening to this voice too much lately. Oh my gosh. He said, I told Derek X it's too early for alliances. None of us have really formed alliances at all. Says the creator of the Butchers and the Full Ass House Alliance, the Slaughterhouse. But anyway, he's like, yeah, I told him we're all becoming friends. We're getting pretty close. And I also told him if he doesn't use the POV, he's going to have a bunch of people pissed off at him. So he's like, yeah, if Lil D just lets me do my thing and he shuts his mouth, he'll be good. Okay. So Frenchie says he's got so many targets on his back now, all because of Lil D. I'm pretty sure it's all because you were freaking sloppy as hell this week, but sure. And Frenchie says there is someone completely innocent on the block right now, meaning Alyssa, and that blood is on my hands, and I feel horrible about it. Again, that's on you. Nobody told you to put up Alyssa. So Frenchie confirms that Travis will be going up as the replacement nominee if Derek does follow through and use the veto on Kyland. And everybody's telling Alyssa, you're golden with the votes. You don't have to worry. You're going to be fine. So then, changing gears a little bit, Xavier says, just as a general rule moving forward, like, we shouldn't say people's names directly when we're talking about them. We should just kind of imply heavily who we're talking about. Because then we'll have plausible deniability if people ask us, like, oh, did you say my name, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Mr. Lawyer. I mean, bartender / part-time model. But yeah, the lawyer kind of jumped out there. But anyway, Brent and Alyssa had a game chat alone in the bathroom. This was so silly. Brent was like, the fact that I was able to get you off the block with Frenchie, because that was not easy. Wait a second. What? Brent is actually trying to take credit for something right now that's not happening? What? So Alyssa's like, oh, did you do a lot of the talking with him for me? And Brent says, yeah, I did it all. So she's like, oh, thanks. So then Brent says he's gotten a little, it's been a tough week with Frenchie because Frenchie has a really big heart. So he keeps changing his mind. Sure, that's what it is. It's because he has a big heart. But Brent is explaining how he convinced Frenchie not to backdoor Lil D this week. He's like, yeah, Lil D's on my team. He can be a number for us. I have him in my pocket now. He's not a threat to us. Let's not forget Lil D also saved himself with the power veto. I think that's the main reason why he's not being backdoored this week. So Brent is saying now Travis needs to go. And he also says this was a shit show of an HOH. Yes. But he says if it all works out by the end of this week, they'll have saved 2 Alliance members, Alyssa and Kyland, and Derek X, who's in Brent's pocket, supposedly. And they'll also have gotten rid of a huge threat in Travis. And Alyssa's like, yeah, plus people are not going to think that we're all working together. Because remember, Alyssa was pulled into that Slaughterhouse Alliance after she was nominated. So she's like, people are not going to think we're working together, you know? Because Frenchie put me up on the block this week and he made that whole fishing speech thing. So Brent says, moving forward, Derek X knows if he does not abide by me and Frenchie, he's going to go home. Boo! Brent is definitely acting like this is his HOH this week as well. Like it's a joint HOH between Brent and Frenchie. And Frenchie is acting like this is his power of veto to use or not use. It's wild. So anyway, Alyssa says she's still going to act worried this week that she's going home, but she trusts that they're going to keep her safe. We shall see. All right. Meanwhile, Azah and Brittany were chatting outside. Love them. And they were talking about how Frenchie was trying to start a big alliance with a bunch of random people. And they also mentioned the Slaughterhouse, so I don't know if they were talking about like even a different one on the very first day. But Brittany's like, that's not how this works. You can't just like pull random ass people into a room and expect them to all work together. Thank you. Okay. So then they were discussing how Brittany and Azah, they're both in an alliance now with Claire and Tiffany, but they don't want to rush things. Good. I hope they take this girls' alliance slow and really like build it up, you know? But anyway, Azah's talking about how she always tends to root for the underdogs and she felt really bad when everyone was throwing Lil D under the bus and ganging up on him. And she, in the same vein, she also wants to work with Christian. And Brittany agrees. They feel really good about him. They've been bonding with him the last few days. And they feel like he could be a really good shield for them. I could definitely see that. I would love to see them join up with like Christian and like some other people and be like the resistance against Frenchie and friends, I guess. So yeah, they were also venting their frustrations about Frenchie not communicating with them when they're on the same team. They're all on Team Jokers, right? But he hasn't been updating them on anything. And Azah was talking about how Frenchie was like asking if they wanted to get the group together. And she's like, I don't want to say it's too late, but it's too late. You know, he made his nominations without us. He didn't give us any heads up about it. He got all confused after listening to everybody else and all of their ideas. And he made nominations that didn't make any sense. Yes. They also discuss how Frenchie spent a whole lot of time talking one-on-one with Christian, Derek, Kyland, Travis. They're not on his team. And then he just like comes up to the girls in a big group and asks for volunteers to be a pawn this week. Right? He didn't really seem to care much about bonding with the women or gaming with the women. They really would have appreciated at least him just keeping them in the loop. They said we didn't even need to be part of the decision-making process, but at least keep us in the loop about who you want to work with, who you're trying to get rid of this week, something. So Azah says, like, with all that, she is still going to try and support him however she can because they are teammates, but there's not really anything to talk about with him at this point, you know? So at the same time this conversation was happening, the other half of Team Jokers, Frenchie and Big D, are talking in the storage room. They reaffirm their final 2 with each other. And they say their goal is to get to the final 2 chairs together. Nah. I like Big D, but Frenchie, So they feel like they both have strong social games. They balance each other out in competitions. One is good at physical, one's good at like mental stuff, blah, blah, blah. All right. But it gets interesting because not long after that, Frenchie and Christian are having a game chat in the HOH room, and they agree Kyland makes them nervous. They're in the Butchers Alliance together and, of course, the Slaughterhouse, but they're already getting nervous about Kyland. He has such a great social game. He bounces around to all these different people, and Frenchie says everyone loves him. And Christian agrees. Kyland is so safe this week up on the block, even if Lil D doesn't use the power of veto on him. So Christian says the two of them, Frenchie and Christian, can really do some damage together. People are terrified of them. And yeah, they want to work closely together. And Christian says, I don't want to win HOH next week. Hello. You know how much trouble you were almost in this week, and you're saying you want to throw the next HOH? Are you kidding me? So Christian brings up actually going all the way to the final two with Frenchie. And Frenchie fist bumps on it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Sounds great. How many final twos does Frenchie have already now? So Christian says, we need to come to each other. If people are trying to pit us against each other, we need to just, clarify things. We can't let people turn us against each other. And Frenchie agrees. He says, yeah, we need to also talk about who we're targeting, be on the same page every week, things like that. And Christian says, looking back at the Butchers group, out of all of their Butchers, he's the most scared of Xavier. And Frenchie agrees. So they talk about how smart he is. They're glad that he is working with them, though, and not against them. They're not saying they want to take him out yet, but they're definitely worried about him. So Christian says he would like to see Xavier win the next HOH so that he can feel a little heat, All right. So the house guests spent a lot of time chilling in the pool yesterday, just hanging out, relaxing, chit-chatting, getting to know each other. Because let's keep in mind, it's still the first week. They haven't told everyone the same stories 5 times yet. So they're still on the first run through. So they have a lot to talk about in between all this insane gaming. So later, Christian and Big D chat in the dining area. And Big D says, we need to make sure that the Butchers are the final 5. And then we'll just go off of our instinct after that. Please, not a Butcher's final 5. I can't handle it. But anyway, here we go. Christian spills that Frenchie offered him a final 2 deal. I remember that happening the other way because we just talked about it. Christian's the one who brought up a final 2 deal to Frenchie. Frenchie did say, like, yeah, let's do it. But it wasn't like Frenchie offered it to him. But also, damn, Christian is sharing this with Derek F. Like, what? So, Christian says, yes, I said yes to the dress. I said yes to the final 2. But the only reason that I'm telling you about it is because you are my real final 2. So Big D says, yes, absolutely, same. Is he though? So then the feeds were kind of flipping around, so we didn't get to see if Big D spilled about his final 2 deal with Frenchie. I would guess no. I think Big D is keeping that a secret. But yeah, that was interesting that Christian spilled like that. So then the house guests all played a truth or dare game together. I'm trying to remember what they called it now. It had something to do with the pool table, but I don't remember the name they came up with for it. But a lot of the dares were people dressing up and impersonating each other. Travis dressed up in drag. It was not as good as the drag show from BB Can 9, but it was okay. One of the highlights, though, of this whole thing was Tiffany reenacting Frenchie's fishing dream nomination speech. She is freaking hilarious. I love watching her on the feeds. She just seems like such a wonderful person as well, which is great to see. Tiffany's a gem. Love her. Okay, so then everything's calm and pleasant. Everyone's having a great time. Time for Frenchie to get kicked out of an Applebee's. It's just like in Talladega Nights. Like everything's going well, and then he's got to screw it up. All right, so Frenchie, Brent, and Alyssa were chatting on the balcony outside. And Frenchie says he's getting really nervous for next week. He is scared that he's going to be in trouble. People are going to be coming after him. And he's worried about it. So they're telling him, you're going to be fine. We got this huge alliance that's going to back you up. Don't worry, we got the numbers. But Frenchie is getting more and more intimidated by Kyland. He's like, Kyland's social game is on point. All the girls love him, and they don't love me. So Brent, I wonder why. Maybe it's because you promised them all they were going to be safe this week, and then you asked for bonds. I don't know. So Brent says, if we keep Travis, though, like, he's going to become a huge threat later in the game. So, like, trust me, you're golden. Let's just stick to the plan, Let's just take out Travis. So Frenchie's like, yeah, America's going to freak out in a good way if we take out a big player like Travis in week 1. And Brent's like, yeah, so let's just do that. Let's stick with the plan. But Frenchie just keeps on bringing up Kyland. He's like, I don't know how much longer we can keep Kyland around. You're like closely aligned with him. What are you doing? So he says the longer you keep Kyland, the more bonds he's going to make. He's already impenetrable. Really? So Frenchie says, I might tell Derek not to use the power veto. And Alyssa's like, what? Because Alyssa does not want to be up on the block against Kyland on Thursday. That would not be good for her. But with that reaction, Frenchie remembers, oh shit, I'm talking to Alyssa right now, and she's on the block. So even with that, Frenchie starts counting out the votes just in case the nominations stay the same. So he's like, this person will vote for this person, blah, 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 blah. And I have to say, I don't think it was a very accurate count. I don't think so. But he's thinking it would be 8-5 with Alyssa staying. Nah, I don't think so. I think Alyssa would be packing her bags. So after Alyssa and Brent chat alone, and she's like, do you think he's really going to ask Derek to leave the nominations the same? And Brent's clearly getting frustrated with Frenchie's constant flip-flopping. It's too much. So meanwhile, Frenchie out of control. Frenchie is pulling people up to the balcony one by one to ask who they would vote out if it were between Alyssa and Kyland on Thursday, if the veto was not used. Oh my God. He even asked Derek X, the veto holder, and Derek was like, what? But he did say, like, I would keep Kyland. So then it was Kyland's turn to talk to Frenchie. And Frenchie changes up the question a little bit. He's like, all right, so you're coming off the block, which means you'll have a vote this week. So he asks, who would you vote out between Tyler or Alyssa? And you may be asking yourself, who's Tyler? There have been so many name mess ups. He keeps calling Travis Tyler. A lot of people keep calling Kyland Kaylin. And I'm just like, who the hell is Kaylin? They're still getting used to the names, I guess. But anyway, right? Frenchie always makes me think of Grease. But this BB Frenchie does not deserve to be having the same name as Grease Frenchie. Let me just say that. But anyway, Kylan says, I would vote out Travis. And Frenchie's like, no, you're lying. So then Kylan's like, well, my vote is with the Butchers. That's our alliance. And Frenchie's like, okay, but like, if you were to vote the way you wanted to, not with the alliance, who would you vote for? And Frenchie's like, I don't have a vote this week, but if I did, I'd be torn about it. Tyler or Alyssa. So Kylan is like, I don't understand why you would be torn about this vote if you're serious about the Slaughterhouse Alliance. Alyssa is in our alliance. Why would you vote her out? Unless I'm missing something. So then Frenchie's like, okay, you're not understanding my question. If there was no alliance, how would you vote? Like for your game? Oh my God. These what ifs are a bit ridiculous. So Kylan's like, I guess I would keep Travis because of the team twist, We're on the same team. So if I have all my teammates here, there's a higher chance that one of us will win HOH and I'll be safe for the week. So yeah. But then he says, because of our alliance, I would keep Alyssa. So Frenchie's like, oh yeah, same. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page about it. Ridiculous. So then Frenchie talks to Travis one-on-one, and he asks Travis, can you persuade Derek X to not use the power veto without anybody knowing. Oh my god! So Frenchie reports that everybody's been saying that they would keep Kyland. It wasn't everyone saying that, but there were a lot of people saying they would keep Kyland. And I just want to also note the feeds cut after that. And also, I think it might have been related to Xavier was given the camera by Big Brother to go around and like take pictures of everybody. But anyway, whoa. So later, Frenchie checks in with Lil D and he asks him, "Are you using the veto?" And Lil D says, "Yeah." Frenchie says, 100%. And Lil D says, "Yeah." So Frenchie's like, "Well, I don't want to be blindsided because if I am and you don't use it, I'd send your friend home," meaning Kyland. Wow. WTF. Oh, so, okay. He's being all sneaky, trying to tell Travis to talk to Derek and ask him not to use the power veto. But then he's talking to Derek and saying, like, you better use the veto or I'm going to send your friend Kyland home. So to me, that says Frenchie does not want the veto used. I'm pretty sure Frenchie wants Kyland out because he is very threatened by Kyland's social game. But he doesn't want to be the one who looks responsible for it. So he's doing all this shady shit and oof, it is not looking good. So anyway, Travis checks in with Lil D. They're comparing notes on what Frenchie has been telling them and they're realizing this shit is not lining up. Like I said, he's telling Travis that he does not want the veto used. He's telling Derek that he does want the veto used. And he's saying if the nominations stay the same, he's telling Travis that Kyland would stay, and he's telling Derek that Alyssa would stay. So they're trying to figure out, does he want Derek to use the veto or not? Would Alyssa or Kyland be going if the nominations stay the same? And they're wondering, is he testing one or both of us? Like, what is going on here? But in any case, they know it's not looking good for Travis if he does go up as a replacement nominee. So then eventually Frenchie talks to Lil D in the HOH room, and Frenchie says, Travis is loyal, just like you. However, you may not know this, but your buddy Kyland, he tried to make a final 2 deal with me while he also had an alliance with you. Oh my god. This is just so ridiculous coming from Frenchie, who is aligned or trying to align with freaking everyone. So Frenchie is saying, it's too early for that shit. You know, do we keep someone who's loyal AF, meaning Travis, or do we keep Kyland? So he's like, I need to make sure that I'm going to be safe next week. And all the women love Kyland. So Lil D says, well, I'm just saying, like, you know, it's going to make you kind of look bad to everybody if Kyland goes because you said publicly that he's a pawn. So if then he goes, like, that's not going to look good for you. People are not going to trust you moving forward. But anyway, Frenchie's like, yeah, I see what you're saying, but that's not going to be the end of it. So Lil D, he's still planning on using the power veto on Kyland. Frenchie tells him, be careful. You can't trust Kyland. Okay. So then a little later, Lil D is in the HOH room with Frenchie and Alyssa. And this is so awkward because now Frenchie is all, what if you take down Alyssa and I put Travis up next to Kyland? You know, that guarantees a big threat will be going. It's just like so obvious at this point that Frenchie wants Kyland to go. He's still trying to be like, oh, it's going to be Travis leaving. But you know, he would be trying to work those votes for Kyland to go because he's so threatened by him and his social game. So, yeah, he's doing whatever he can to keep Kyland up on the block. And they tell Lil D, Kyland will be safe if he stays up. He's not going to get voted out against anybody, and definitely not next to Travis. However, if Alyssa's up there next to Travis, she might not make it. She might get voted out. So a little later in the HOH room, we have Frenchie, Alyssa, Kyland, Xavier, Brent, and Derek F. And they're talking about different voting scenarios, who would be safe against who, things like that. And Alyssa and Frenchie, again, are pushing that Kyland would stay 100% over Travis. 100%. And then Kyland is like, 100%. I heard 100% I wasn't gonna be on the block this week. Yeah, where's the lie, right? He's telling it like it is. But Frenchie gets so pissed about this comment, which was said so calmly, by the way. But Frenchie will not let it go for the rest of the entire night. So he's all pissy about it. And then Sarah Beth knocks on the door and Frenchie's like, oh yeah, I want to talk to her. So he like kicks everybody out except for Sarah Beth and Alyssa. And after that, like Frenchie is all pissed and starts spewing like microaggressions throughout the rest of the night. And he's saying Kylan snapped at me for no reason. He's saying Kylan popped off at him. But Kylan was so calm the whole night. So Frenchie's like, I believe Frenchie was saying this to Xavier. He was like, don't piss me off. I'll make sure nominations stay the same. He was also saying if Kylan continues to piss him off, maybe he'll throw a curveball with his replacement nominee. And Xavier was like, for your game, I recommend no curveballs. And again, he was saying this like as an ally trying to help him out. And Frenchie was like, is that a threat? And Xavier's like, no, man, this is me. Like, I'm just trying to help you. I don't know why you're freaking out like this. But Frenchie, oh my God, stop talking. Ugh. So Frenchie keeps going on and on all night about how Kylan threatened him as well. There was no threat there. Are you kidding me? So later, he was talking to Kylan and like a bunch of other people were there too. I believe Derek X was there for sure, but I don't remember who else was all there. But Frenchie was trying to make Kylan feel bad for being upset about being up on the block. When Frenchie's the one who nominated him. When they're supposed to be in an alliance together. So Frenchie is like raising his voice at Kylan, being like, I put you on the block because I trust you. And he's telling Kylan that he's paranoid. And this shit goes on for like hours. When in reality, Frenchie is scheming against Kylan and trying to get him evicted this week. So he's blaming Kylan for being paranoid, but like Frenchie is actually being a snake here. It's so ridiculous. But Frenchie also would not let Kylan speak, and it was like extra messed up. Because he kept interrupting Kylan, and Kylan has a hard time expressing himself sometimes, and he'll pause a lot when he's speaking. So when people interrupt him, it's like an anxiety trigger for him. So he was really having a hard time with this, with Frenchie constantly interrupting him. And it got to the point where Kai was literally like raising his hand because he wanted to say something and he didn't want to be interrupted again. So I have to give Lil D some props for sticking up for Kylan a bit in this conversation. And after it was over, he was comforting Kylan, giving him a hug, saying like, you shouldn't have to put up with this. It's ridiculous. And he's also telling Kylan he's still going to use the power veto on him. Woo! Yeah, love it. Okay, so then later, Frenchie, he stayed up like all night. They were still awake this morning when I got up, which you know that there was some craziness going on when that happens. But Frenchie stayed up all night, pushing for Derek X to leave Kylan up on the block, but Derek X was not budging. Woo! Okay, cool. So Frenchie also was talking about, again, throwing a curveball with his replacement nominee, possibly putting up Hannah as the replacement. Really? That's ridiculous. So, okay, today, everybody who was asleep was getting filled in on the mayhem from the night before and how much of a mess Frenchie is. I'm really curious to see now that the power veto ceremony is over, like how people are going to be treating Frenchie and if he's still going to have like everybody drooling all over him. I feel like no, right? I feel like there's definitely going to be a huge drop off. But anyway, maybe because he's the first HOH, that like aura will last a little bit longer, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, new alliance alert. It's called the Jackpot, and it's got Tiffany, Claire, and Sarah Beth. I'm into it. Another women's alliance. Let's do it. And then they had the power veto ceremony. After all of the craziness, Derek X did use the power veto on Kyland. Yay! And Frenchie, after all that, put Travis up in his place, which means it's Travis versus Alyssa up on the block. And as much as I want to see like an alpha male type go early, honestly, I don't know. I'm almost feeling like if Travis decides to go against Frenchie and all of his crew, I would almost rather see Travis stay over Alyssa, because Alyssa is pretty ingrained in that Slaughterhouse Alliance. So I'm not really decided. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm not totally decided on this eviction yet. So let me know what you guys think about all that. It's going to be interesting to see how the campaigning goes this week. We'll see what happens. Hello there. Hello, Z's.
Hello.
I want to thank all of our super chatters today. You guys are awesome. Really feeling the love. Yeah. It's been a long day.
Yes.
So I want to thank, I know Alyssa did get the short end of the stick with the nominations this week, but like the way that she's been gaming and like still wanting to work with Frenchie and all that,
Right.
What? Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe things will change throughout the week, but we'll see. So super chatters, Donnie Greenwell, thank you so much. Destiny's Bot, thank you so much. Nick Silverstein, thank you so much. Alex Garza, thank you so much. Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much. Christine, thank you so much. Camila Gamba, thank you so much. Darby C, thank you so much. Michelle Noel Creations, thank you so much. MCD, thank you so much. Patty W, thank you so much. Jason, thank you so much. Hi.
Hi, sir.
Nini Girl, thank you so much. And Nini Girl says, did you see Kylan put his hand on Claire's back and she said stop? I did not see that. I have noticed he does tend to put his arm around a lot of the women, but I did not see that particular instance. But I mean, I think he will take that and like apply it. So yeah, interesting. Mary Patricia Dorsey, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys are awesome, and that is a good way to support this channel. So we really appreciate it. Right, Bowie?
Oh,
Yeah.
I like the biscuits.
Yeah, biscuits. Okay. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm exhausted.
I can tell.
I'm very, very tired. I can't even believe I made it through that just now, but
Give yourself a round of applause.
I'm not asking for any extra applause or anything. I'm just letting you know, like, whew, this week has been a lot. But I am super curious to see what's going to happen now that Frenchie's power is no more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
POV ceremony's done. He's got no more say. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be pushing for whoever he wants to go this week.
I think you better climb in the toilet tank and hide in there.
Yeah, right. All right. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here. It's been a blast. I will see you all tomorrow for more. And until next time, much love. Bye.